Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Namo Aniruddhaya Hishikesha Indriyatmane Namaha Paramahamsaya Purnaya Nivritatmane Swarga Pavarga Dvaraya Nityam Suchi Sade Namaha Nama Hiranya Viryaya Chaturhotraya Tantave. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, thank you for being here this evening. This is, I think, in this year, this is the second time I'm giving a class here. And the previous occasion was also the welcoming of Jagannath. And today we are here in connection with celebrating the presence of the deity of this house, Gopal. So we are very happy to be here. And I was just thinking, this is quite a complicated setup. And the reason it is complicated is because I was invited here on a certain occasion. So I got to honor the deity. I got to speak on the deity a bit, perhaps on the precept or the idea of deity worship in our movement. Then I was thinking, it's the year end. I should be talking about goal setting. Then I was thinking, the movement is about the holy names. We have no other business but to speak of the glorification of the holy names and to enthuse others in chanting of the holy names. So I was thinking, what is it which we could do? Because it seems to be that there are several objectives and I was a bit conflicted. But then I realized that there is really no conflict. The first verse that we speak of when we begin our Mangalacharan, the introduction, is after prostrating and begging for blessings from the Guru Parampara by saying Om Ajnanatimrandasya. We then say and glorify and hold on to the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, because Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Swapadantikam. It's a very profound statement which is being made here because Srila Rupa Goswami is being glorified as a personality who knew the heart of Lord Chaitanya. Who could even conceive of knowing what is in the heart and the intentions and the desires of Lord Chaitanya? So that explains the extraordinary position of Srila Rupa Goswami. And what was in the heart of Lord Chaitanya? What was in the heart of Lord Chaitanya? The best precept, one says, is that which is demonstrated for us to be able to observe through our senses. Okay? Srila Prabhupada wrote his books with this in mind. He did not assume that his audience had the ability to understand subtle language. He assumed that his audience was going to observe through their senses. They had to learn through their senses because he was offering us a foundation. So in that sense, what was the foundation which Mahaprabhu offered us? Mahaprabhu was very simple in his demonstration of bhakti. There were two aspects which were shown in his presence in Jagannath Puri as well as his presence in Navadvip through his travels in India. The two aspects that were shown was he propounded and reiterated the extraordinary nature of deity worship, which was a part of our tradition, he also emphasized 100%, the whole focus was on the spreading of the holy names. It's very simple. So acharyas, when they were propounding the mission, when they were writing books, they were wanting to write about the aspect of kirtan, which is calling upon the holy names. Then they were writing about how to engage in the aspect of shravanam, which is to hear the kirtan. And then they wrote about smaranam. The reason why smaranam had to be written about is because we are unqualified, being in touch with matter, to understand confidential pastimes of Krishna. So because we are unqualified, our acharyas authored books on smaranam so that we could read from their experiences and prepare for our experiences. Because the chanting of the holy names is going to bestow upon us experiences. But how will we understand if those experiences are consistent and bona fide? We could be speculating. So our acharyas gave us literature through which we could understand what is smaranam. How do we create this whole aspect of deity? You see? When Srila Prabhupada started his mission and he opened up temples, he introduced deity worship. Right? He introduced deity worship, and the deity had to have some very specific features. And the very specific features of the deity in our movement are based on the Leela Smaranam, or the remembrance of the pastimes of Krishna in Goloka by our acharyas, because it's bona fide. If you do not have a proper source to validate your own experiences, specifically if they are subtle, if they are not manifest, we could very well be on the wrong track. So to ensure that we are prepared to have the right experiences and to guide us on what experiences ought to be, there was a profound amount of literature written, including the fact of deity worship. So that we could really say that this Shyam Sundar, right, he is bent in threefold form. He's holding the flute. The dress habits of the deities have to be such. This is the kind of bhoga that has to be offered because this is the preference. These are the pastimes that take place throughout the 24-hour period in Vraja. What is it which one ought to do if you're going to be worshipping at a certain hour? Right? These details are aspects of smaranam. And where did this smaranam come from? It is not conjured up by the acharyas. It has been written out of their own internal experiences. And when we chant and we become purified and we gain authority to be able to really identify and go close to those experiences, we should be able to validate our experiences. That's the other side to it. So one should not really get into advanced literature. We are better completely taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books, because Srila Prabhupada's books have offered us a foundation. The foundational aspect of Krishna consciousness is available in Srila Prabhupada's books, and one who engages completely in absorption in reading Srila Prabhupada's books will have the ability to fully understand the heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You see? The holy names are meant to give us everything. Holy names are meant to give us everything. Okay? So, this particular statement, Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam, is a very profound statement, because Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, he knew the heart of Mahaprabhu. This is a very, very big deal. Who can imagine knowing the heart of Mahaprabhu and then enthusing others to follow in his footsteps? That's why we are Rupanugas, because we want to follow in the footsteps of Sri Rupa Goswami, because he knew the heart of Mahaprabhu. And our business is only to follow the heart's desire of Mahaprabhu. We have no other business. We have no other business in this movement other than wanting to follow the heart's desire of Mahaprabhu as enunciated and given by our acharyas. No speculation. Okay? So I was thinking that if we have to speak about deity worship, it has to include certain motivations. So I thought I'll first talk about deity worship, then we can get into a Bhagavad Gita verse. Out of 700 verses, we have to choose one verse to give a class in, because you've been given a topic saying, okay, today we are welcoming the deity, and then you have 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So which verse do you choose? So obviously, the Guru Parampara blesses us when we want to serve, so we become inspired to choose a verse as well. Otherwise, on our own, nothing is possible. We all should be very grateful that the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada is on our heads. Otherwise, It will be very difficult for us to do even the smallest of things in this movement, because this is a transcendental movement and we require all the help we need. Anyways, okay? So, the first thing that we would like to talk about is wanting to understand what is this motivation? What is this whole motivation of our movement? Okay? If one were to really talk about our movement, one can say that the Pancha Samskara, or the process of initiation, is a very critical process in our movement. Initiation is practically the beginning, and the process of initiation is a critical part. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke of initiation and he gave us 5 parts to it. This is a bit technical, so I'm not going to go into the technical aspects of initiation, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave us 5 parts. This was done in 1885, where he studied what was required and then he gave us what is required in our movement. So the 5 parts that he gave us were, right, Tapaha, Urdhva Pundra, Nama, Mantra, Yaja. 5 parts. Okay? There were 5 parts to the initiation process. So there are 5 parts, and then what we are doing is we are practically going through the different 5 parts as milestones when we come in touch with the Guru. So the first thing that the Guru does, or first experience of a disciple, what is the first experience of a disciple? What is the first experience? I'm sorry? Did anybody say anything? What is the first experience of a disciple? What did Srila Rupa Goswami say? Adau Shraddha. Shraddha is the first experience of a disciple. Okay? And how is Shraddha manifest in the life of a disciple? How does Shraddha manifest? How does Shraddha manifest? What is the recognition which the Guru has to see if Shraddha has manifest in the heart of the disciple? That definition is also being given by Krishna in 4.34, I'm sorry. In 4.34, what does Krishna say for Shraddha? He is giving us a definition. What is the definition in 4.34? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So the translation is, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So what is the primary qualification for the process of initiation? What is the primary qualification for a disciple? Is to have Shraddha. What is the external manifestation of such Shraddha? The external manifestation of such Shraddha is to have the ability to sit at the lotus feet of the Guru and inquire from him submissively, rendering service unto him. This act of being able to render service submissively with faith will not occur unless Shraddha has been deposited in the heart. It will not occur. There would be no submission. There would be questions, there would be doubts, there would be all kinds of theories and postulates. The person will not understand that they have to render service. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti. This upadesha from the Guru of Tattva Darshan will not begin until he sees Shraddha. And Shraddha is a matter of the disciple being able to accept the spiritual master, be able to sit at his lotus feet and render service. Throwing away every other identity and understanding that I have one identity of being the disciple of my Guru. I am the servant of my Guru. That's the only identity. When this happens, there is Shraddha. Because Shraddha is the quality which disperses material nature in the heart of the disciple. This desire for success in matter is dispersed by Shraddha. Deeper the faith of a person, to that extent that person would have disinterest in pursuing material goals. Why so? Because it's a pre-qualification given in our Shastra that for one to be able to chant properly, one should not be aspiring and having goals for material success. It won't happen. You really can't come into a PhD class. This is a PhD class. You're enrolling into a PhD course. You really cannot come into a PhD class and a PhD course and then expect that any behavior and any internal quality would cut. It will not. It will not. Mahaprabhu's offering is a PhD offering. So the expectation is very high. And the expectation of Shraddha, the expectation of faith is also extraordinarily high. So the deposition of faith means the lack of material desires. To the extent to which the faith has developed to such an extent, the person will not desire objects in this world. It's a natural cause. It's not an artificial imposition which is being done here. So the real process of initiation is where the guru studies the disciple and says that you're afraid. You're afraid of the world in so many different ways because you have so many different desires. You're lamenting. The lamentation is nothing but a manifestation of fear. Fear is nothing but a need for desires to be fulfilled. Okay? When I was initiated, I was very fortunate that my spiritual master inquired in a very subtle way as to what are you afraid about. He wanted to offer prayers during the process of initiation to discard that fear from my heart. Because that fear that we have in our heart is nothing but lamentation. That lamentation has nothing to do because we have material desires. We are lamenting. We are in fear. Oh, something may happen, something may not happen. Oh, I have this, I have that aspiration. So what is the help that is given at the process of initiation? The help that is given in the process of initiation is that the guru removes this aspiration and increases faith by removing such unwanted troubles from the heart. Because if we have a desire for material success, then we would not be able to aspire for chanting the pure name. Shuddhanam will not come. Right. So our acharyas in Harinam Chintamani have given us a few aspects of it. They are saying that some people are extroverted. Extroverted personalities would be looking out into the world, wanting to enjoy with their senses. These are gross materialists. They want to enjoy with their senses. And then come the next category of karmis. These personalities know how to manipulate material energy by engaging in some kind of worship, some kind of mantra, so that they would be able to acquire their desires. This is the karmi. Okay? And what is the karmi aspiring? The karmi is saying that I'm not interested in the gross material desire that's a part of this world. I have figured things out. The heavenly planets await me. Swarga is much better because there's a much better grade of enjoyment. So I want to aspire for Swarga. This is karmi. People who want to engage in karma kanda, they have this very defined movement of understanding that there's better enjoyment and better grade of enjoyment available. This is a karmi. The third is the jnani, who is superior to the gross materialist and the karmi. Why is he superior? Anybody? Why is the jnani superior? The jnani is superior because his objective is above the material sky. He realizes that, oh my goodness, I have been a materialist for so many different lifetimes, and because of being a materialist for so many different lifetimes, I have become frustrated and I want out. You see, what do people say when they are put through intense suffering? What do they tell Krishna? I want out. I don't want to suffer anymore. I want out. Because I figured it out, either by experience or by knowledge, that this material existence, immaterial of whether it is Indra or it is a germ, is suffering. The jnani has figured it out and he wants to go higher. Okay? This higher platform and higher aspiration of the jnani makes him superior to the karmi. But the jnani also has liberation as his objective. He wants to end his existence. Okay? So it's not as lofty a goal, but it is better than the karmi. And then come the transcendentalists. The transcendentalists are indeed glorious. Why are they glorious? Because they are fully satisfied and then they have recognition of the Supreme Lord. Amongst the transcendentalists, you have many who reach the position of becoming liberated. They become liberated. But even those who are liberated do not have enough knowledge of being able to enter into Mahaprabhu's plan. The plan of Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam, is to give a taste of transcendental rasa, the mellow of sweet relationship that exists in the spiritual sky. This is a glorious objective which even a liberated Atmarama has. And Atmarama is one who is very satisfied with himself because he has already crossed the material sky. This is the objective which Mahaprabhu has given us. Now, how many in this room feel completely qualified to be a part of Mahaprabhu's plan? Let's see a show of hands. Let's see a show of hands of being qualified, of being a part of Mahaprabhu's plan. Okay? I should have probably asked a reverse question and confounded you, but I made it pretty straightforward. So, in reality, none of us have an iota of qualification to be sitting here and participating in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan. None of us do. If the Atmaramas, the liberated souls, they themselves are seeking qualification to enter into this particular movement, what is our position?
Seek the same thing.
I'm sorry?
Seek the same thing.
Seek the same thing, but then what is our qualification? Nothing. No qualification whatsoever. We have no qualification whatsoever to be a part of or connected to this movement. And why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up today because oftentimes, even after practicing for many, many years, devotees do not realize what they have been given. They do not realize the bonanza, the jackpot, which has really hit them. They don't realize that. There is no realization of what has been given. There are still heavy planning for each and every year, because we are beginning 2016, of what could be achieved. Maybe I can get this, and maybe I can get that. Maybe if I do this, I'll get this, and if I do that, all kinds of machinations, all kinds of plans. Okay? And it is very confounding. Why? Because the liberated souls, they themselves feel extraordinarily grateful if they even get a taste of what we have been given so easily by Mahaprabhu. This is the plan of Prabhupada. This is the plan of Mahaprabhu. Do not underestimate what's been given. Do not underestimate. What's been given can be taken away as easily as it was given. So if we have true appreciation of what's been given, we would be very careful in what's been given. We will protect it with all our might. So please understand that our goals have to be properly set. Okay? It's not an ordinary situation. The goal has to be very, very properly set in Mahaprabhu's movement. Why? We have received something very profound. Do not take it ordinarily. Okay? So, in the 5 different types of initiation processes, or the 5 branches or technical aspects of initiation, the first is tapaha, where tapaha practically means that one has to go through austerity and one has to be able to put up with different austere situations in the world and tolerate the pangs of material energy and pursue the goal. Tapaha, for purification. The second is pundra, which is the giving of and the markings of tilak. The third is nama, where the Guru gives us nama and the Guru also names us in a certain way. The fourth is mantra, which is practically the second initiation part where we receive Krishna mantra. And then the fifth is yaja, deity worship. Now, why is deity worship so important as a part of our process? Why is deity worship so important? Because in reality, we are a movement of chanters of the holy names. We have no other objective. Do not confuse yourselves. Our objective is to chant the holy names. So why did our acharyas introduce deity worship into the mix? The reason why deity worship was offered in as a part of the process was because it is practically the most profound way for us to come in touch with Krishna in the Archavigraha Rupa. When our senses come in touch with Krishna's senses, when we start worshipping Him with great diligence, then we have an opportunity for us to be able to move forward. Okay? So there is a very nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita which practically talks about deity worship, which talks about the whole process of coming in touch with deity worship and so on. So I just want to read that today and we will move on. Yeah. This is a nice verse. It is Bhagavad Gita 4.24. Brahmarpanam Brahmahaver. Please repeat after me. Brahmarpanam Brahmahaver. Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam. Brahmaiva tena gantavyam. Brahma karma samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Okay. So, the most important thing that we want to understand before going into this verse is understanding that action has to be preceded by identity. If we do not understand our identity of who we are, then we would not be able to act. It's a simple statement. Because you know that you are the mother and the father of your children, because this knowledge comes in our heart that we are the mother, father, such and such of a child, or the son of someone, or the brother and sister of someone. Because of that identity being clear, it allows us to act. If that identity is not clear, would we be able to act? No. Right? A father has to know his child, and he has to be able to distinguish that this is my child, I will have to act with her in a certain way. He has to similarly act with the wife, with his mother, with his father. So there is a need for establishing identity before action. Okay? So what is that specific identity which is being established here? What is the first identity that is being established here in this verse? What is being said in the translation? A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And what is Krishna consciousness? What is Krishna consciousness?
Thinking, feeling, everything about Krishna.
Yes, but what else can we say? If you were to define Krishna consciousness, what would we say? It's good. Your answer was appropriate. What else?
Understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and we are the servant, so that...
It's a fundamental understanding that I'm a servant, dasya, yes. But then the understanding, go ahead.
By which we can get out of the material.
That's an objective. No, this is like a jnani. I've had enough. Okay?
Chanting and eating Krishna.
Okay, but yes, go ahead.
Always thinking about Krishna?
Always think. What is it? Who is going to always think about Krishna?
His devotees.
His devotees. So Krishna consciousness is knowing our relationship with Krishna. You see, just as much as a parent has to know the relationship with their children for them to act appropriately and to serve them appropriately, for the child to serve the parents appropriately, the devotee has to understand his or her relationship with Krishna. The extent to which the sambandha jnana of the devotee is higher and higher through the practice of chanting of the holy names, to that extent they will be able to absorb themselves and act in Krishna consciousness. Underline sambandha. If you do not know your relationship with Krishna, you will not know how to deal with him. It's very simple. So at a fundamental level, we have been told by our acharyas that you are das. There is no doubt about the fact that we are all das and dasi. Our names are such, right? We are servants. But then, how many servants have preeti towards their master? How many servants can have preeti towards their master? How many servants have preeti? Every one of us know that we have servants at some place. You know, we work for a corporate master. How many of us love our master? How many of us are das and we look at our corporation, we look at our boss, we look at the fellow who gives us hell and say, I love you? How many of us do? So we are kidding ourselves when we start saying that dasya, or just knowing that we are servants, is going to allow us to know Krishna and to serve Him in full. What is going to be required is priti. What is priti? Priti is love, it is affection. There has to be a relationship which is bound by the sweetness of love. The sweetness of love will not come until the relationship is further defined. One has to know that they are a friend. Is it possible for a friend to love another? Yes. Yes. A friend can love another friend. There can be a bond of love between two friends. Is it possible for a father or mother to love their children? Undoubtedly. Is it possible for two lovers to love each other? Undoubtedly. Now there is priti and there is dasya. There are both. So when there's servitude with the relationship and the relationship is profoundly known, then that is real bhakti, that is real dasya. Because it is not known and because it is convoluted in our mind and we are not clear about our relationship with Krishna, waking up is a problem, going to bed is a problem, cooking prasadam is a problem, going to the market is a problem. Everything is a problem. Krishnamanand Prabhu will agree with me. Saying he's not, in the sense that he's struggling to get his resources together to run the temple, and he will agree, saying, why should people have such problems? Because this particular Sambandha Gyan is not profoundly known. If the Sambandha is very clear, and there is Dasya Priti, if there is Sakya Priti, if there is Vatsalya Priti, and then there is Shringar Priti, if there are Priti in different levels and there is love, then this Dasya becomes a labor of love. Otherwise, it's burden. And it is the burden part which devotees experience in the early stages, and they can't really figure out what is so wonderful about Krishna consciousness. What is so wonderful about Krishna consciousness if I'm going to be troubled to wake up in the morning, if I'm going to be troubled to go out and do this service and do that service, in the winter and summer and so on and so forth. What is so wonderful about Krishna consciousness if I like to do something and I'm not allowed to do it? What are you talking about? Who is attracted with rules and regulations? Who is? No one. No one. No one. No one. No one is attracted to just rules, regulations, stipulations. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Nobody is. So what is really missing in Krishna consciousness is, number one, we do not know the specific relationship, the rasa. And the beauty is, it is only the movement of Lord Chaitanya which has the profundity to give rasa right up to Shringaras. It is only our movement. Okay? There's nothing else who have the process for them to be able to educate us by giving us smaranam, saying that this is the experience which I have had. Srila Rupa Goswami's writings, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's writings, Sri Sanatana Goswami's writings. It is all full of smaranam of being able to engage with Preeti in relationship to Krishna, and that particular Preeti and that relationship and that dasya is extraordinary, and it can motivate us to move forward. It can propel us to wake up in the morning and hold on to the beads. Bhava Bhaktas, they will not have a problem jumping out of bed at 2:30 in the morning. They will not. Because they are extraordinarily enthused and wanting to come in touch with the rasa of relationship with Krishna, which is in the holy names. The rasa of relationship with Krishna in the holy names is like a bud. And more sincerely we chant, and deeper our sambandha, and greater the level of chanting and the purity, the bud opens up, it flowers, it blossoms, and it gives us an opportunity. That is the opportunity of this movement. So how could we claim qualification to receive such a gift? No one can claim qualification. No one can claim qualification. No one. Complete disqualification. Complete. someone made an observation saying that there's a greater level of mercy in North America or in Europe. Because even when the sadhus come to North America, when they visit, the crowd and the gatherings are somewhat small. There's greater opportunity for service. Yes, life is more difficult here, so there has to be more mercy. Right? There has to be more mercy. Life is more difficult, so it's more mercy. When I say life is difficult, I'm not talking about the comfort. Life is difficult from the perspective of more opportunity for engagement in service and so on. Okay, there's greater level of absorption and opportunity for sense gratification if someone misses the beat. So the mercy that's being provided is very profound. Lord Nityananda opens up the store gates when it comes to North America. Right? When it comes to Europe, he opens up the store gates saying, okay, I understand you folks. He holds back in Mayapur because every grain in Mayapur can liberate. He's saying, okay, when you come here, you better put in the work. Okay, Mayapur. But here, North America, okay, I'm going to give you mercy. So Srila Prabhupada carried the mercy of Lord Nityananda. He distributed it throughout the world. What did Srila Prabhupada give us? Did he give us rigors? Did he put stipulations, regulations? Did he give us something where we are supposed to achieve our material objectives? No. He gave us rasa. He gave us the opportunity to engage with priti, with Krishna. And that priti is missing even amongst those who are liberated. Shuddha Bhakti Rasa is a rare opportunity. Shuddha Bhakti is very rare. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam and scrutinize it, in the conversation between Narad Muni and King Uttanapad, you will notice that Narad Muni does not touch upon Bhakti. He starts inquiring from King Uttanapad, the father of Dhruva Maharaj. How is your kingdom? How are your subjects? How is your work? Because Narad Muni, did he not have qualification to bestow Shuddha Bhakti? He had complete qualification to be giving anything to Uttanapad. But he realized that the person sitting in front of me does not have adhikar. He does not have adhikar. So what did he tell? Okay, if you don't have adhikar, I'm going to talk to you about your kingdom, I'm going to talk to you about your subjects, I'm going to talk to you about the welfare of your subjects, because that is the profundity of your adhikar. How much adhikar did Sri Uddhava have? This extraordinarily close personality who resembled Krishna in bodily form, how much adhikar did he have? He did not have the adhikar for Shuddha Bhakti. He traveled all the way from Krishna's Dwaraka, wanting to check on the welfare of the Vrajavasis. And because Uddhava Prabhu was a Sishya of Brahaspati, he was a Jnani. He was a Jnani, and his understanding and conception of Godhead was mixed with Aishwarya. So when he looked at Nanda Maharaj and he looked at Yashoda Mai and he said that don't worry, Krishna is Narayana, he is this, he is that, and he is going to control everything and he has a forearm. Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj could not believe that they were actually talking about their son, because their conception was Shuddha Bhakti Rasa. They were saying, my son, he's a thief. He lies. And you are saying that he is knowledgeable. You are saying that he is a spiritual master of the whole world. You are saying that he is the Supreme Lord. He is lying. He cannot control his senses. He is constantly hungry. And you are saying that he is so profound and he is this and he is that. Uddhava, you are confused. Don't tell us. Don't tell us he is Narayan. No. See, this is Shuddha Bhakti Rasa. This Shuddha Bhakti Rasa, where there is Vatsalya Preeti, is flowing in Vraja, and that is our opportunity in this lifetime. That has been given to us. Uddhava Prabhu did not have that opportunity when he came to Vraja. Krishna sent him deliberately saying, go get mercy by observing the Vrajavasis, see how they behave. See their complete conception of what they think. Because Uddhava's conception of Krishna was mixed with Aishwarya, Aishwaryamai. So this mercy was given when he visited Vraja. Krishna arranged it specifically because of his fondness for Uddhava, saying, go look at those Vrajavasis. They are experiencing Shuddha Bhakti Rasa, and because they are experiencing Shuddha Bhakti Rasa, you might be able to pick something up. And now, where did we start, by the way? Where did we start? Not the class. I'm asking about where did we start? Did we start with this conception of Godhead, or did we directly, Mahaprabhu has given us connection to Vraja?
He's giving us connection to it.
Vraja. Exactly. How on earth could we be more qualified than Uddhava Prabhu? Can you just understand where we are? This is like it, where if you work in the corporate environment and somehow you want to eavesdrop what is going on in the boardroom, because you're not qualified to enter the boardroom, there's some very confidential dialogue going on which could affect you. You want to eavesdrop, right? And all in a sudden, we are being plugged into Shuddha Bhakti Rasa, where we have no qualification whatsoever. We have no qualification to the point where we don't even recognize what's been given to us. We don't even recognize. If we do recognize, why would there be any other objective other than wanting to chant Shuddhanam? Why would there be any other desire in the heart other than wanting to go before the deity, go before Prabhupada and say, do whatever you're supposed to do and I want to chant the holy names. I want to chant Shuddhanam. Why should there be any other motivation if it was fully understood? If the disqualification was understood and we are truly humble, why would we not do that? One, we don't understand the goal. Next, we don't understand the obvious disqualification. And then it becomes a chore because there is no preeti. We claim there is preeti, but there isn't. Right? There has to be Vatsalya preeti. There has to be Sakya preeti, Dasya preeti. Then, when preeti combines with dasya, when preeti combines with action, that is bhakti. Until preeti combines, it is dasya. Right? One simply takes on a labor because there's no love. Love comes when there's a relationship. Without relationships, how can one experience rasa? It's impossible. So do we understand the profundity of deity worship? Deity worship in our movement is to practically inaugurate our relationship with Krishna. When the Guru takes a deity and gives it to the disciple, in initiation those days, that was the process. The Guru used to take the deity and then give it to the disciple. The Guru used to practically give Sambandha Gyan to the disciple. He used to take the hand of the disciple and place the deity, saying, okay, this is the Sambandha. The Sambandha used to unfold when the disciple starts serving the deity. Srila Prabhupada instituted a more practical arrangement for the movement because the objective is to preach. So Srila Prabhupada, instead of giving personal deities, he made people surrender to the local deity of the temples. So now in this place you have Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar. So Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar become the personal deity whom Srila Prabhupada would have given us, saying serve and develop Sambandha Gyan. And then by serving the deity, we slowly, steadily develop the culture of love. We don't have it. We do not have it. The culture of love will develop by serving the deity. Slowly, steadily, when we serve the deity, this particular limbs of ours would become purified. Then the objectives would change. And everything else would manifest after such service. Okay? Now let's read the purport of Srila Prabhupada. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, now everybody knows Krishna consciousness? Sambandha Gyan. Relationship, there has to be preeti, there has to be relationship, there has to be service if there's relationship. Service in a relationship of love is bhakti. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute, and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So I'm just going to read the purport. How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness and all of them will be described in the following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul, entangled in material contamination, is sure to act in the material atmosphere. And yet he has to get out of such an environment. This is the paradox. We have been put into these bodies. These bodies produce desires because they are in touch with matter. And our attempt to fulfill these desires will get us one more body. How many of us are in a state of lamentation because of our current circumstances? At least sometime of the day, sometime of the week, sometime of the month. Be honest. How many of us are in a state of lamentation because of our circumstances? Okay. Now, what does this mean when this particular statement of in a circumstance where we are lamenting? Who is responsible for the present circumstances of lamentation in our lives?
We are.
Thank you. Let's take responsibility. If you are suffering today, it is because we desired at some level the circumstances that we are in today. This was desired by us. We arranged for it. Okay? We arranged our present today. Today, what I am is an aggregate of the past. Whatever I am today is an aggregate of the past. Now the question becomes, what is it which I want to become? Do I want to manifest a future like today?
No.
No, I don't want to. I want to move forward. Honestly, I'm being very straight. I want to move forward. I want to have maximum capability, maximum opportunity. I want to move forward. So why is it that if I were to continually desire what I desired in the past, why would the future be any different? Does it make any sense? It doesn't make any logical sense. That I will continue desiring what I desired in the previous lifetime. I will continue desiring what I desired 10 years back. I'll continue desiring what I desired 5 years, year ago. And somehow the next year has to be very different. Does it even make any iota of sense? It doesn't. If our circumstances of today is because of how we desired in the past, what is important is for us to change how we desire today. And I'm bringing this up very, very carefully. Please pay attention. How many of you in this room are pujaris? Let me see a hand. Who have been second initiated? Let's see a show of hand. Okay? Many. Now, let me share something with you. I'm not bidding and I'm not trying to throw a scare in you. When we get initiated into the first initiation, we get initiated into the second initiation, the potency of what is being given to us in our movement is so enormous that we have the ability to create a certain future. When we chant the Gayatri mantras, when we chant the holy names, if we are not careful in what we desire, we would manifest whatever is in our heart. Understand this. Because you have desires, and those desires are going to receive fuel through the mantras. And that particular fuel would practically manifest a future. So those of us who have received mercy at different gradations have to be more careful than those who are at a different stage. Please understand that. Because our ability to create a future is higher with initiation than without. It's a fact of life. If you have second initiation, the ability to create a future is even higher. Be very careful. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if the past has created the present and you're not happy with the present, then be sure to desire a future which is aligned with scripture. That is Tattvadarshi. Tattva is to desire according to scripture. That is why a spiritual master comes into our life. He helps us develop desires that are healthy. So what is a safe desire which cannot get us into trouble? What is a safe desire? Serve Krishna, yes, but it's too broad. Sometimes people think I can make $1 million and I can serve Krishna. Or they might say, I want a bigger house, I want to serve Krishna. I want a bigger car, I want to serve Krishna. Right? So it's much more problematic when you want to use a very broad definition. What is a narrow definition of service?
Just to be self-serving.
Chant. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam. He wanted us to chant the holy names. If there is any one goal in this planet which is worth having after coming in touch with Mahaprabhu's movement, it is to chant the Shuddha Naam. desire with all your heart to chant the Shuddha Nam. Write down on a piece of paper, and before you begin your mala in the morning, before you begin your Gayatri, read that paper saying, this is why I'm doing this. Otherwise, we are simply preoccupied with desires that are a part of our samskaras from the past. And we are creating a future which may not be very different from the present. Do we understand what kind of trouble we are in? If we don't act, we are in trouble. If we act, we are in trouble. So be sure to act in line with Scripture. Acting in line with Scripture is the most important thing that we could do. Okay, and what does Scripture say? The safest and the best aspiration is Chaitanya Manobhishtam. We want Shuddhanam. If we have Shuddhanam, we don't want to aspire for anything else. So let's aspire for Shuddhanam. No other desire. And if we reach the point of saying, Krishna, we stand before Him, I want to chant the pure name Krishna. I've heard so much about the chanting of the pure names. I've heard so much in the Scriptures. I want to be able to understand. I want to be able to live the Scripture. Then, why wouldn't our entire Acharya Varga act? We have access to practically every Acharya in our line. Mahaprabhu's mercy is there. Prabhupada is there. They are all fully present. Why wouldn't they act in our favor if we were to ask for this desire? And why would we want to miss this opportunity? Okay, so now let's read further. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely yogurt, curds. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in Gita. This process is generally known as yajna or activities, simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of the material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by complete absorption. The more and more our eating, sleeping, mating and defending is being centered around Krishna, the more we have an opportunity to chant Shuddhanam. You see, one of my godbrothers, he shared this particular statement, which is a very profound statement, made by His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He passed on in 2001, but he made this statement while touring in England. He said, our devotees, they don't have a problem with chanting 16 rounds. They don't. What is 16 rounds? 90 minutes? 2 hours. 2 hours. You could hunker down and you could really chant 16 rounds quite effectively. There's no issue. They have a problem with eating, sleeping, mating and defending. It's a profound statement. It is a fact. This complete misalignment and complicated eating, mating, sleeping, defending is the reason why we cannot do a sadhana. Because we have created a super big complicated way to do that. The more and more we desire Shuddhanam, the more and more eating, sleeping, mating, defending will align itself to that objective. The more it aligns itself and more it simplifies itself, the easier it will be to manage curveballs. Right? When a curveball comes and your life is not so complicated, you can handle it. But if your life is also super complicated and a curveball comes, then it becomes a big mess. Okay? It's profundity. So that was a very true statement by Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that our devotees don't have problem with 16 rounds. They can't chant because they don't eat, sleep, mate, defend properly. It's not aligned. There's complete confusion. The word Brahman means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual and the rays of His transcendental body are called Brahma Jyotir, His spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in the Brahma Jyotir. But when the Jyotir is covered by illusion or sense gratification, it is called material. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the results are all combined together, Brahman or the absolute truth. So we are coming in touch with truth at every stage. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth regains its spiritual quality. How simple is this process? How profoundly simple. You go spend $1 and you buy a few apples, so perhaps one apple these days, and you bring it before the deity. that matter is accepted by Krishna and it becomes spirit. And that spirit has the ability to liberate us, at the very least. How profound and how simple a philosophy is. That the activities that we do on a daily basis, simply plug in Krishna. That's it. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. How can one be fully absorbed? What is the prerequisite for full absorption? Come on. Preeti, yes, but what else? Sambandha. Sambandha. Deeper the sambandha, greater would be absorption. Deeper the sambandha, greater would be absorption. Anything done in such a transcendental consciousness is called yajna or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness. This verse is an amazing verse, 4.24. Go home and read it again. This verse practically enunciates the entire process and says that the more and more we align ourselves, the better it would be for us to be able to move forward in absorption. Okay? Now, it's almost there. We just want to speak for 2 minutes on the goal setting, and then we will conclude the session. See, 2016 is upon us. The Georgian calendar has no significance for Vedic, purposes. A new year is a new year. It really doesn't matter. Everybody here has their new year when they are born. That particular birthday is your new year, the forward. But in purposes of wanting to understand, to take a milestone, it does have its uses. We can say that 2015 has passed, 12 months have passed, and 2016 is upon us. And if I have to plan for 2016, how do I plan for 2016? So that is going to be very important for us. Please understand that we have been given a very profound, enormously beneficial process, but this process requires planning. If material world and if activities in the corporation requires planning, spiritual life requires planning as well. The objectives have to be very straight. You have to have very clear goals for the year. And those goals have to be divided by month and by week. And then you would have the ability to do activity in a certain way, and you'll also have the ability to calibrate yourself. Those who want to aim for the Olympics, they have to at least participate in the local school event and win the races, right? And then they have to qualify for the county, and then they have to qualify for the state, and then for the country, and then for the Olympics. So at each and every stage, they have to work towards a milestone and then embrace the milestone by acting upon it, and then reaching that milestone, they have to execute for the next level. Spiritual life is like that. Spiritual life is non-different. Krishna consciousness, you cannot cruise along in Krishna consciousness. There is no such thing as cruise speed. There is no such thing as cruise speed in Krishna consciousness. You are either accelerating or you de-accelerate. There is no such thing as, I will take my foot off the pedal and I'm going to cruise along. Okay, those who cruise along, they will cruise along for 30 years and they'll wake up saying, oh my God, I've been cruising. Okay, and you could be cruising sideways. Be very careful with Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is straightforward planning, execution on a yearly basis, and doing our planning and then waiting for Krishna's mercy. This is exactly what Krishna consciousness is. You need to be able to do our part in wanting to go higher. Every level in Krishna consciousness, you will reach a point. It's like climbing a cliff. You will reach a point, and at that point in time, you will have an opportunity to make an assessment to go higher. Okay? If the tempo and the laser-like focus and the desire is not maintained at each and every level, it will be difficult. So what we need to do is we need to constantly have a plan for tomorrow. You need to have a plan for the week. You need to have a plan for the month, for the year ahead. This could be plans that start with a level which you desire. If you're chanting perhaps 4 rounds, desire for the 5th round. Desire, don't begin, desire. because automatically when you reach the point of being able to chant, you'll have an opportunity to chant the second. If you have difficulty in being able to wake up at 4 a.m., try to wake up and aim for 6 a.m. starting the 1st of January. Okay, then you calibrate yourself on a month-by-month basis, you try and make improvements. I'm giving you very basic activity. The reason I'm saying that is because one has to surrender the body before they can surrender the words in the mind. If you have difficulty in being able to execute, then start planning to put chunks and start calibrating yourself. This is going to be critical because if you don't calibrate your performance on a year-by-year basis, month-by-month basis, if you do not see improvements, then that is a sign of worry. We need to be able to become more absorbed as we go year by year. And you need to be able to observe it. Okay? Because there is no cruising speed in Krishna consciousness. Okay? You have to accelerate. That's exactly what it is. The focus has to be there and you have to start executing, you have to move forward every year. So I'm requesting that since we are in the beginning of 2016, set goals in chanting, set goals in reading, set goals in seva, set goals in practically every aspect of your life that you're connected to. And after setting those goals, start bringing it down to monthly, weekly, daily activity. The biggest and the most important goal that I would set would be to be able to chant. Because if we chant properly, everything else will fall in place. Okay? Set it up. And you will see that you would be able to move forward in leaps and bounds. Because the mercy is already available. The opportunity is already there. Okay? So we started out with a few things. I'll quickly summarize, we'll end here. We started out with the fact that the importance of deity worship and the role it plays. We then went into the fact as to why is it lackluster. It is lackluster because we don't have Preeti, and Preeti will not be there because we don't have Sambandha. And then, how is Sambandha going to come? It is going to come through the chanting process, and chanting itself requires effort. Okay? And by doing so, and having clear concepts of what we want, which is to be able to chant nicely, we would be able to move forward. In Harinam Chintamani, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes a very simple statement. He says, those who have aspirations for material success will face serious impediments in being able to execute the mission of Krishna consciousness. Okay? So goal setting of wanting to chant Shuddhanam is very important. Even if we do not fully know what is Shuddhanam, write it down and then read it a few times and present it and chant after you read it, saying, this is what I want out of my chanting. I want to be able to chant the pure name. I want to be able to be free of offenses. Right? I want to be free of indifference while chanting. And automatically we will find that there would be progress guaranteed. Okay? So any questions? Perhaps we are allowed a question. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
This is a good one for you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So you work shift. You work 3 p.m. to 1:30 in the morning. Now you know you want to be at the temple at 4:30 for the deities, but you're out of it. I mean, you fall asleep.
You fall asleep.
But you go before you go to work. That's still meeting your goal, right? I go to work at a certain time.
Right.
I can't make it there at 4 in the morning because by that time I fall asleep.
Yeah.
I go before I go to work. It's still meeting your goals, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The circumstances, if they're complex in life, we do our very best based on the complex circumstances, while desiring and wanting to simplify the complex circumstances so that we could serve better. Okay? So having a desire of wanting to serve in a more better, profound way, whilst facing the complex circumstances bravely and humbly, is the call for the time. That's what is required. I think you're already doing it, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for that. Sure. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu. Akhilesh.
Prabhuji, sometimes I feel that I have desire to serve, but not being able to bring it to action. For example, I want to go to Mangala Arati with the desire, but I'm really struggling with time. with other sevas as well.
Okay.
How do we,
Yeah, let's put it this way. Very specifically, I would say start with the process of being able to chant japa very early in the morning. That's very important. So we want to take advantage. So what we do is everyone has to realize that as a sadhaka, sadhana is not a 2-hour morning jaunt where you wake up and do a 4 to 6 seva, it's over. Sadhana is 24/7. It's a 24/7 activity. Sadhana is 24/7. When I go to bed, what I eat, everything has to have perspective in terms of being able to do what I've in mind. So if I want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, then I skip the meal the previous night. I've seen people do it all the time throughout my life. I've seen devotees being able to skip if they have the ability to do so. If the body allows and they have a goal of wanting to wake up, I've seen brahmacharis, many people say, I won't eat anything after 6 in the evening. Okay, they would not eat anything after 6 in the evening. They would go to bed at 8:30. The point which I'm trying to make here is, you cannot really plan for sadhana at the time of sadhana. You have to rearrange life where it becomes a 24/7 planning event to the extent possible. So if you're working as a professional, then you also take that into account while wanting to plan for the morning. Saying perhaps you could arrange your work in such a way that most of the intense work gets done so that you could rest better. There is ample evidence in our movement of great efficiency being blessed upon those who have desires for sadhana. There's ample evidence. Okay? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, extraordinary, but evidence that it is possible that if one has real aspirations for sadhana, then the life itself can be rearranged to suit that. Okay? So the point which I'm trying to make here to you is, you will have to get into a 24/7 mode for your planning. It cannot be morning. When do you go to bed? When do you eat? All of that is going to get accounted for. What is lunch? What do you eat? Gets accounted for. That is sadhana. Then it would surely happen. Surely. Sure. Yes.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Like I'm having desire. I'm doing various activities since morning 4 or 5 o'clock till 12 o'clock in the night. But what is happening, slowly I'm losing the interest. That's I'm realizing myself. I'm losing the interest in serving God. So what is
Okay. Our acharyas have given a very simple formula. They're saying, Sevon mukehi jihva adav. What does it mean? Seva has to start with the tongue. So which means that if we regulate what is going in as food, and if we make it prasadam, and we also have a strict regimen of being able to chant after eating such prasadam, everything else will automatically change. This particular fact of Sevon mukehi jihva adav was demonstrated very early in the Srimad Bhagavatam by Sri Narad Muni, where he tasted the remnants and he came in touch with Bhakti Rasa. And then he began chanting. So the enthusiasm for chanting will come when there is enthusiasm for sticking to a regimen of prasadam. Does it make sense? Yes. So please make an attempt to have and include a diet of prasadam at all times. There would be no issue whatsoever in being able to wake up. There would be no issue in chanting either. It will be easier. Because this has scriptural authority. That's why. Anything else? Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about Gayatri chanting, the power or higher ability to set up the future. What are the positive sides of chanting the Gayatri? Whether it will clear the desires or in that way, how can we?
Okay, the positive side of anything given by our acharyas is to be able to chant better. Everything that we do is to be able to do Harinam in a nice way. Second initiation, deity worship, scriptural reading, ultimately to chant Harinam. Our only goal is to chant. So that should be our benchmark. If our acharyas have given a system, you look at it, you don't have to even think. It is Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam is to give us the Shuddhanam, for us to be experiencing prema by chanting Krishna Nam.
We have to desire and aspire strongly for that.
You have to desire whatever exactly Mahaprabhu has given us, yes, so that we can align ourselves. But the point I'm trying to make is, there need be no speculation on the motive of our acharyas. There's only one motive for our acharyas. Shuddhanam. Chanting. That is the Yuga Dharma. There have been no other motive. Everything we do, it is to chant Harinam. Nothing else. Anything else? Okay, so we'll stop here. And thank you very much for being patient. I guess it was a little bit of a session for me as well, so I was also very purified by being here. So thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.